Welcome to Earth and Kind Quests. My name is Mike, and this video shares about what might happen when a Life Domain Cleric battles against an Oath of Vengeance Paladin using the 2024 rules in Dungeons & Dragons. The Gold Dragonborn Cleric of the Life Domain, named Varion Vitalimar, is one of 4 heroic adventurers on a quest to defeat a fire-breathing red dragon at the dragon's lair. The fire giant Goliath, Oath of Vengeance Paladin, named Talia, is one of 4 enforcers working for the dragon and commanded to confront the approaching 4 heroes. In the video text description, you can see the web links for both of the level 8 character sheets in D&D Beyond. You will notice that these characters are not necessarily optimized for this kind of encounter. The Life Cleric could be effective as a supporter of a group, but he is missing the most powerful options for a 1-versus-1 combat. The Paladin conceivably could produce more damage with a different choice of feats, such as the Polearm Master feat. The 2 opponents here represent the kinds of characters that I would play starting at level 1, and then making choices up through level 8 while considering the realistic dynamics of exploration, social encounters, and combat. In most battles, the Life Cleric, Varion Vitalimar, would find a safe position while providing healing and other support for his allies, but now he will be forced to fight against an opponent who can deliver a large amount of damage during every round of combat. The Cleric immediately will know that his most effective approach will be to gain a distance from his opponent, preferably using his once-per-day draconic flight to move upwards and beyond the range of what the Paladin can manage. The Oath of Vengeance Paladin, Talia, will want to begin with her Vow of Enmity, gaining advantage on her attack rolls against her one selected opponent within a range of 30 feet. All of her advantage attack rolls probably will be successful, and she can apply a Divine Smite as a bonus action for 1 melee weapon attack or unarmed strike. She will prefer to attack with her pike, granting extra reach and the ability to push her opponent. With her Find Steed spell, she gains extra mobility on the battlefield, and the otherworldly steed already has been summoned with the Fiend variant that potentially can frighten an opponent. The Paladin's blind fighting style probably will not be relevant in this duel. Her other features include good saving throws, a high armor class, a large amount of hit points, and the ability to heal herself by as much as 40 hit points with a single bonus action of her Lay on Hands feature. Leading up to this point, Varion Vitalimar and his companions began their trek across an expanse of lava terrain on their way to the Red Dragon's lair. They were confronted by the dragon's 4 chosen enforcers. For practical purposes, I will present each battle in a separate video. We already have seen Bladezinger Wizard versus Draconic Sorcerer, and we have seen Eldritch Knight Fighter versus Pact of the Blade Fiend Warlock. Now we will witness Life Domain Cleric versus Oath of Vengeance Paladin. Another episode will show Circle of the Land Druid versus Battlemaster Fighter. The enforcers of the Red Dragon start with an unfair advantage. They will use as many of their power resources as they can, while their opponents probably will start with an intention to conserve their spell slots and other special features for whenever later they will plan to confront the dragon at the dragon's lair. In this particular battlefield, scattered spots contain fountains of magma that will cause 2d8 fire damage to any creature when first entering the space or when starting a turn in there, applicable only once per turn against each creature. The Life Cleric recognizes the grim situation and he begins to consider his options. The Paladin's otherworldly steed approaches, revealing its fiendish association. The Life Domain Cleric, Varion Vitalimar, and the Oath of Vengeance Paladin, Talia, roll for initiative. The Paladin wins this contest, and she will act first. In round 1, Ritalia steps to her otherworldly steed, uses half of her movement to mount, and speeds toward her opponent. The steed will act as a controlled mount. As part of her attack action with her pike, the Oath of Vengeance Paladin activates her Vow of Enmity, gaining advantage on her attack rolls for the next 1 minute against the cleric, as long as she can see the cleric within 30 feet of herself. The first advantage attack with the pike hits against the cleric's armor class of 16, delivering 11 points of piercing damage. As a bonus action, a second-level Divine Smite adds 17 radiant damage. The Paladin's Fire's Burn feature adds only half of 1d10 fire damage due to the Gold Dragonborn's fire resistance. The Paladin applies the push weapon mastery of her pike to begin to force her opponent toward the nearest column of magma. Her steed continues to move with its dash action. The second advantage attack hits again, delivering another 18 points of piercing damage and half of the 1d10 of the Fire's Burn damage. The cleric is pushed another 10 feet closer to the column of magma, and the steed's dash action brings the paladin back into melee combat. The paladin's otherworldly steed currently is acting as a controlled mount, but it retains its bonus action to attempt its Fell Glare against the cleric. The cleric barely succeeds with the wisdom saving throw, and he is not frightened. The Life Domain Cleric, Varion Vitalimar, starts his first turn of this duel with only 4 of his total 59 hit points. He will not survive through another round of attacks. He needs to find a way to prevent the paladin from attacking, while finding a way to heal back as many of his hit points as possible. The Life Cleric could use his Channel Divinity to regain up to half of his hit point maximum, healing back up to 29 hit points, followed by a bonus action of Healing Word to regain more hit points. However, the Paladin simply would repeat the same massive damage output, and the Cleric would be right back where he started, but with fewer resources available. Varion Vitalimar considers the Disengage action to avoid an opportunity attack, followed by a bonus action to start his Draconic Flight and move upwards 30 feet. This approach almost could give the cleric what he needs right now, but still, he would be within the danger zone of 30 feet range of the paladin's Vow of Enmity for advantage while throwing 2 javelins. The cleric could cast spells to force a wisdom saving throw by the paladin, or by the paladin's steed. He considers what might happen with spells such as Dissonant Whispers, Command, or Hold Person. Among these options, Hold Person could offer the most useful outcome of incapacitating the paladin immediately and during her next turn. Unfortunately for the cleric, the paladin can make the wisdom saving throw with about 50% chance of success. The cleric decides to cast Hold Person against the paladin, placing his faith in his religion to protect him. Ritalia fails the saving throw, and she is paralyzed. As a bonus action, the Gold Dragonborn starts his once-per-day Draconic Flight and begins to move away. The paladin's steed is not paralyzed, and it can attempt an opportunity attack. The attack roll fails to hit, and the cleric successfully moves upward 30 feet. In round 2, the Oath of Vengeance Paladin continues to be paralyzed by the Hold Person spell, and she cannot act. At the end of her turn, she attempts another wisdom saving throw, and she successfully ends the spell. The Paladin's steed can use its bonus action to attempt its Fell Glare against the cleric. The cleric succeeds with the wisdom saving throw, and he will not be frightened. The Life Cleric uses his action to perform his Channel Divinity of Preserve Life, gaining back up to half of his hit point maximum, now up to 29 hit points. As a bonus action, he upcasts Healing Word as a second-level spell, augmented by his Disciple of Life feature, regaining 21 hit points, now up to a total of 50 of the cleric's total hit point maximum of 59. The cleric moves upward another 30 feet, now flying 60 feet above his opponent. He effectively has changed the battlefield situation in his own favor. At this point, the cleric feels confident that he can outlast his opponent, while hoping for at least one of his allies to arrive for assisting on the ground against the paladin. In round 3, Ritalia glares at her opponent trying to escape. As a bonus action, she casts Misty Step to teleport 30 feet upwards toward her opponent. As her attack action, she rapidly throws 2 javelins with advantage while within the 30 feet range of her Vow of Enmity. The first javelin with advantage hits the target, and it inflicts 7 points of piercing damage. Ritalia applies her final use of her Fire's Burn feature for half of the 1d10 fire damage. The slow weapon mastery with the javelin can reduce the cleric's movement by 10 feet. The second javelin hits for 6 points of piercing damage. The paladin falls 30 feet to the ground, sustaining 3d6 of bludgeoning damage for a total of 9 damage. She lands prone, and she uses her remaining half movement to stand up. The paladin's steed attempts its fell glare at the maximum range of 60 feet. The cleric succeeds with the wisdom saving throw, and he avoids the frightened condition. The life cleric considers how to approach the new situation in this battle. Now with his safety reasonably assured, the cleric prefers to conserve his spell slots. He casts the cantrip Sacred Flame at the maximum range of 60 feet. The paladin succeeds with the dexterity saving throw, and she avoids the Sacred Flame entirely. The cleric's movement was reduced by 10 feet due to the slow weapon mastery of the javelin attack. He decides to fly only 10 feet upward at this time. He ascertains that this total distance of 70 feet will be sufficient for now. In round 4, the Oath of Vengeance Paladin, Ritalia, recognizes that she no longer can apply her strongest combat features during this duel. Nonetheless, she will stay in the fight, using her less preferred options, at least for this round, and then she will reassess the battlefield. At this distance of 70 feet from her opponent, the paladin could cast the Misty Step spell to come within 40 feet of her opponent, but then she would still be outside the 30 feet range of her Vow of Enmity for advantage on her attack rolls. Additionally, any range beyond 30 feet would impose disadvantage on her attacks with her javelins. As a bonus action, Ritalia casts Divine Favor. This spell will add 1d4 of radiant damage to all of her successful weapon attacks during the next 1 minute without requiring her concentration. The first attack with disadvantage does manage to hit the target. It delivers 6 points of piercing damage. The Divine Favor adds 4 points of radiant damage. The second attack with disadvantage misses the flying cleric at a range of 70 feet. Ritalia uses half of her movement to mount back onto her otherworldly steed. Possibly during her next turn, she will command her mount to dash out to 120 feet. For now, she stays in her position. The cleric is too far away for the paladin's steed to attempt its Fell Glare bonus action. Varion Vitalimar searches across the volcanic terrain. He uses an action to study the area. He rolls a perception check. With a result of 22, he notices that one of his allies is approaching to engage with the paladin on the ground, and that one other ally is preparing to approach. The cleric knows that his safest course of action right now is to maintain his position with his draconic flight. He proclaims that the paladin cannot succeed with this duel. In round 5, the Oath of Vengeance Paladin, Ritalia, uses her action to study the battlefield around her. She rolls a perception check. A result of 16 allows for the paladin to recognize a few aspects that will influence her decision of what to do next. The paladin notices that one of her allies, the sorcerer Sebastian Drake, has been defeated in a duel against the Bladesinger wizard Sailamunglo. The Bladesinger now is dashing to engage with the paladin. Another one of the paladin's allies, the warlock Bella Blades, has fallen at the hands of the Eldritch Knight fighter, Eldritch. The Eldritch Knight has started to dash over to the paladin. The Paladin cannot see clearly what is happening with her last remaining ally, the Battlemaster Fighter, Dorgon Stormforge, in a duel against the Circle of the Land Druid, Jaorn Taran. Given this situation, Ritalia is unwilling to face additional opponents all by herself. She commands her otherworldly steed to dash 120 feet, aiming to exit the battlefield entirely during the next few turns. Neither the Life Domain Cleric Varian Vitalimar nor the Oath of Vengeance Paladin Ritalia has won this Nemesis battle. Ritalia is deeply unsatisfied about this outcome. In her view, her opponent forfeited their duel by retreating in flight. The Oath of Vengeance Paladin curses at the Life Domain Cleric, proclaiming that they will meet again at another time. For now, she moves away and contemplates her next plot. Varian Vitalimar descends safely back down to the ground. He welcomes his approaching allies, the Bladesinger Wizard and the Eldritch Knight Fighter. He wonders what could be happening right now with their other ally, the Circle of the Land Druid. Furthermore, how can the team prepare for the plan to face the Red Dragon in its lair? Our story will continue in the next episodes of Nemesis Battles. For now, in the comment section, please share your ideas and suggestions about what could have happened differently and what could happen next. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.